Why do you think God supernaturally designed the eyes to be in the head? Not in the belly, not on your foot, but in the head. It's because when your head can see far, your body can follow.
Right.
And that's why I'm so grateful to be part of this vision. Everything you need for your success is in the house.
When we're that young, all we do is we make the money, we spend it right away. We don't think about tomorrow. We don't think about retirement. If you have a credit card, please make sure if you're going to swipe it in order to build that credit, just make sure you pay it off like right away.
I want to welcome our guest. Today we have the man, the myth, the legend, and no other Dr. Paul Bolu. I want to welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you, sir.
So, Paul, obviously you're going to be our first guest. This month, April, is a financial literacy month, especially to our audience and also our viewers. First of all, I'm going to ask a two-part question.
Yes, sir.
One of the questions is, you've been in the financial industry for a minute. If you could just explain to our viewers a little bit about yourself, what led you to financial industry, and also explain to them when we talk about April as a financial literacy month, what does that mean to you, and why should that matter to anybody out there?
All right. My name is Paul Bolu. I'm so grateful for this industry. Actually, I came to the financial industry, especially the insurance circle, I would say probably by accident or by supernatural direction. Okay. I used to live in Chicago then, and I was pastoring for one of my pastors, senior pastor friend, mentor then, Reverend Carl Cheso. Beside his house, there's a golf course there. So anytime I'm going to work, then I was working as a security guard. Anytime I'm going to the work, I see these young people playing golf over there. Then one day I succumbed to courage. I walked to the golf course. I was like, what are you guys doing at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. playing golf? You don't work. Then one of the guys laughed. And he now said to me, he said, get yourself a financial advisor and let him teach you how to make money work. And money work for us, that's why we have the good time to start playing around. Guess what? I rushed home, sir. I came back home. Remember, that was 2003, 2004. This is the time of AOL, Yahoo.
Right.
Went on the computer, started searching about financial advisor. Then I discovered that, wow, they make money too.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to be a financial advisor.
Right.
Then I started putting my resume together. I went for a couple of interviews with MetLife. And the funniest thing is that my first interview, this is very funny, right? My first interview at MetLife, the lady asked me, said, do you have security license? I remember all I had was a security guard mindset.
Right.
With me, I said, yes. And she was like, because I used to have a license to carry gun then. I said, yes. They were like, oh, which one do you have? I said, I have 9mm. The woman laughed. The Caucasian woman laughed at me. She said, no, that's not the kind of security license we're talking about. She sent me on my way. Guess what? I repackaged my resume again. That same company picked up my resume again. They brought me for an interview again. I was doing an interview by somebody else differently that never knew I've been there.
Right.
Now, the regional manager walked in, a gentleman, clean looking. You could see money around him. You could see that he's rich. Right. And the man said, I know you somewhere. I said, I don't know. The man said, no, your face looks so familiar. I said, no. The man went and he came and said, I remember you. You are the Nigerian guy with the security license. I said, how did you get here again? I said, I just put my resume again, sir. Right. Said, hire him. I love him.
Right.
That is how I got into the industry.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Just like that.
Just
the persistency.
Yes, sir.
Even though they turned you down, but you knew that you wanted an opportunity and you kept pushing. Yeah. And then you went back. So folks, again, what is the point of the story? The point of that story is if you want anything in life, you have to go for it.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to go for it.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's really an amazing story. Yes, now, Paul, Dr. Paul, the month of April, most of us in the financial industry, we frame it as the financial literacy month.
That's right.
One, what does financial literacy month means to you? And second, why do you think people should pay attention to that?
Number one, thank you so much, sir, my CEO. To be honest with you, I'm so grateful for the opportunity that you guys have given to us in our field
Right.
to express what we have. To me, right now, especially to our own community,
Right.
we know a little about financial literacy. Most of us were brought up and were trained to work hard so much for money.
Right.
But we don't know how to make our money work hard for us.
Right.
And that is why this kind of month is very important, because this is the month that we need to go out there and be a crusader so that we can teach people how to make their money also work hard so much for them the way they're working hard for money.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's powerful. Again, crusader, right? Some of you from the Christian background, when we think of crusader, it's almost like an evangelism.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because he mentioned community. I am Nigerian. He is Nigerian. I don't know if you guys have seen the study that talks about generation wealth and building a legacy. When you compare the net worth of the minority community compared to, let's say, the Caucasians or the Indians or whatnot, the gap is so wide.
Very wide.
And you know the reason why that gap is so wide? The lack of financial literacy.
Yes, sir.
Right? Too many people, especially in the minority, especially the immigrants, they know how to make the money, but the statistics also tells us they don't really understand how to play the game when it comes to investing, when it comes to putting their money in the right vehicle, right? So that's really why this month we are dedicating, financial education and all of that, right? So, and then the next question that I want to ask is, Paul, as we wrap up, what would be the advice? Because obviously you are a man of wisdom. You've been in the industry for a while. What do you think you would advise that you would give people out there, things or principles, that they need to focus on as they build wealth? In other words, if I'm out there now and I'm listening and I want to get something from this session, what are the maybe 3 or 5 things you think that we need to understand when it comes to building wealth? I'm sure there's a lot of concepts out there.
Number one, there's a lot of concepts. Number one thing I would first of all say is that your mindset got to change.
Right.
You can't keep on doing the same thing and expecting a new result. So your mindset has to change. So you must be ready for a shift. I call it paradigm shift.
Wow.
In your mindset.
Right.
Because as a man thinketh, so is he.
Wow.
And our mindset as an African also, for most foreigners, our mindset have to change to this system.
Right.
That the way we have embraced the 8 to 4,
right,
9 to 5,
right,
overnight shift mindset,
right,
in this country,
right,
the same way we need to appreciate and absorb the mindset of how money works, right, in this industry.
Right.
Number one, there's what we call tax now, tax later,
right,
and tax advantage or tax free.
Right.
Now we need to get information about that.
Right.
Because you earn it, they tax it. You spend it, they tax it. You invested it, they tax it.
Wow.
But how can I get myself from tax now to tax advantage?
Right.
Because that's one thing that is one of the enemy,
right,
that is stealing our money from us.
Right.
So that's one of the things that you must get ready to expose yourself to and begin to add a paradigm shift.
Right.
Where your mind is concerned.
Right.
So that even if my money is growing,
right,
is it growing with tax free?
Right.
Advantage.
Right.
If I can use that word. Sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Man, he dropped a lot of things. I don't know if you guys caught that. Right? We gotta change our mindset. Why? A lot of immigrants, I look at my journey when I came here 22 years ago, right? The mindset is always to go to school and then get a job and then work hard.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. When you look around you, your center of influence, have you seen anyone around you that clocked in and clocked out and you envy the life they live? Or they clocked in and clocked out to get to financial freedom? It doesn't exist, right? You might live a comfortable life, right? But you're not going to be able to have a total independence and financial freedom. He talked about that. We got to begin to change our mindset. So my mentors, when I came into financial services 7 years ago, always said 8 to 4, 9 to 5 pays the bills, 6 to midnight builds the empire. Right?
Yes,
9
sir.
to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever your schedule is, you pay the bill, the mortgage, the rent, whatever, car note. And then if you want to build an empire, when you get out of the plantation, right, you got to get home and be able to build something that's going to be able to give your family the financial freedom. And then he mentioned another thing. We live in the capitalist society, and capitalism is the dog eat dog. It's either you eat or somebody will eat you.
Ooh.
But he just mentioned something. The big uncle that we all love, Uncle Sam, right? Taxes, right? The way we like to talk about it is there are two types of taxes in America. Paul mentioned that. There are taxes for the informed and there are taxes for the uninformed. Where do you belong? Another way he phrased it was tax now or tax advantage, right? You remember, April is the financial literacy month. So it's a financial literacy month, meaning it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you could keep.
That's true, sir.
Right? Then, in order for you to keep, you need to understand what angle or what side are you on. Are you at the side where everything you're making, you're paying taxes on it now? Or are you on the angle where the top 1% in America, the billionaires and the multimillionaires, they understand the tax advantage? That's what Paul is talking about, right? So this month, April, Financial Literacy Month, that's what this thing is all about. So you're gonna be hearing from us, from this channel, Gains Entertainment. Gains Entertainment meaning what? We want to be able to put a channel together where every time you subscribe and you start watching our video, you're gonna be able to learn a thing or two that can help with your faith. Dr. Bolu is a pastor.
Yes,
Sometimes we might be talking about biblical principle, how that could change your life. It could be something that could help you in leadership. Here at TPC, we are not just building a business, we are building people. We are making people better leaders, better citizens, better husbands, better wife. So sometimes some of our content might be something along those lines. Or sometimes how do you build your finance, right? Because everybody got to get to financial freedom. Right. So again, as you see this, I'm gonna encourage all of you to subscribe. We got a ton of stuff coming your way. And on that note, Paul, anything in closing that you would like our audience to know besides everything that you've said?
All I would just say, sir, is this: when you are well informed, you will not be deformed. So get informed.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Did you guys catch that? This man is dropping nuggets after nuggets. When you are informed, you will not be deformed.
Yes, sir.
In other words, when you know better, right, you cannot be hoodwinked.
Yeah,
right? Right now, with social media, with everything, a lot of people are getting hoodwinked, right? A lot of people are getting brainwashed. So his main message is what? You got to get informed, right?
Sir.
Like Barack Obama said, the change that we all seek is within us. Nobody's going to be that change except us. It starts from within. Yeah, so with Paul,
yes, sir.
Obviously, TPC, the People's Company Agency, this company, oftentimes I get asked all the time, Paul, why TPC? You guys built an amazing organization, all the records that you guys broke, but why did you decide to leave all that behind to do this? For me, it got to a point that money was no longer the motivation. I looked around our community,
yes, sir,
and I looked around the country, and I quickly asked myself if the financial gap that we have in our community, and we're gonna solve that problem, people from the outside are not going to solve that problem.
That's true, sir.
Right? Because the way I look at it, people from that side, when they're coming, oftentimes, they are coming in to manipulate and brainwash.
That's true.
Right? And also the ownership. I think you and I have talked about this offline. Because what I quickly realized was, if these companies are willing to pay you millions of dollars, but on that millions of dollars, in other words, that income, you are renting it. Because they can one day wake up and fire you and you lose everything.
That's true.
The thought of that scared me. Because I'm married, I got 4 kids, and I said to myself, if we're going to build this wealth and we're going to impact our community, we will need to create something that solves, because in my opinion, I believe that was an injustice. Because how can anybody build a business that they don't own?
That's true.
Right? So for me, the ownership in the insurance marketing organization, IMO, was essential.
That's
for me, that was not, it's either we solve that problem or we don't solve it. And I'm not talking about a jargon, like, I'm talking real ownership where people can take full control of their life.
That's true.
Right? Because otherwise, we might as well go back to Jim Crow era, slavery.
Yep.
Right? Because why would you build a business that you don't own?
Yes, sir.
Right? So that was really the thought process, that went into this. So with that being said, for you, obviously, you've been able to come in here and you've been able to basically, I call it you a game changer, right?
Yes,
you
sir.
came in and you've set the temperature. Can you really let our audience know how has TPC changed your life?
Wow. Thank you so much for the opportunity again, sir. Much more, I'm so grateful for your leadership and Stephanie's leadership. There's something about the oil. The Bible said the oil flows from the head.
Right.
It said in Psalm, it said, how good and pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unison. It's like the oil upon the head of the Aaron that moved down to his beard to his scalp.
Right.
So it's all start from the head. I ask people question, what do you think God supernaturally designed the eyes to be in the head? Not in the belly,
Right.
not on your foot,
Right.
but in the head. It's because when your head can see far, your body can follow.
Right.
And that's why I'm so grateful to be part of this vision.
Right.
Because I can see where my head is seeing.
Right.
The vision that you guys have laid for us is what we are seeing.
Right.
And look, we've gone around a little bit.
Right.
We've been around a little bit.
Right.
So we've seen the other head vision too.
Right.
That looks like a head, but they are monsters in design.
Right.
Right. So when you now see a proper head
Right.
that now see clearly,
Right.
what do you need to do? Line up.
Right.
And that is why I line up with TPC.
Right.
Like we said, the company of the people,
Right.
by the people, and for the people. And that's what we
Absolutely.
are.
Absolutely.
Number one, first black-owned IMO. Number two, we were able to build something that you can call your own.
Right.
If there's anything I really appreciate again, is the leadership of John Yakubu.
Right.
When John was telling me about the vision, he said to me, Paul, don't see TPC as TPC.
Right.
I said, what do you mean? He said, I see TPC as my own.
Oh, yeah.
And I want you to have that sense. I was like, bro, it's not my own. I'm not the one that registered the LLC.
Right.
He said, but little one, when I begin to see the vision,
Right.
when I begin to see the opportunity,
Right.
that my book of business is mine,
Right.
bro, sir, my everything within me shifted.
Right.
And
Right.
I told myself, this is it.
Right.
And this is it.
Right.
So it's all about the vision from the head.
Absolutely.
When your head can see clearly,
Right.
the body will go where the head goes.
That's powerful. Because obviously you being a man of faith, and I'm a man of faith, just like it says in the Bible, where there is vision, people do not perish.
Yes, sir.
Why people perish for lack of vision?
Yes, sir.
When we started this journey, believe me, we prayed about it, we fasted, we wanted God to lead us. We wanted God to direct. We didn't want to do it out of flesh.
Amen.
So
Yeah.
I truly, truly believe in you. We've been to other places where they promise heaven and earth, but you can't even take anything they say seriously. So thank you for really saying that.
Yes, sir.
Now, for the audience out there, or for the naysayers, because oftentimes we talk about this, obviously when we launched out, a lot of people, the naysayers was, oh, they're not going to make it. Oh, who is backing them? And obviously, a lot of them, one didn't really understand how IMO industry works,
yeah.
right? Because in the sense that our job, we're a marketing organization.
Yes, sir.
Right? So then we have the insurance that are leveraging our platform to market their products.
Yes, sir.
So what that means is we are no different than any other IMOs.
Yes, sir.
Right? Our job is to market their product, they pay us, and then we pay the agents.
Yes.
So meaning we don't necessarily need their backing because there's nothing to back.
Yes.
Right? We're just marketing their product.
Yes, sir.
So can you really explain, maybe for people out there that are they know they need to make a change. They are stuck, right? They are stuck. There's a lot of people out there that are stuck, right? But the fear, right? Or for whatever it is that is making them to not do the necessary things that they need to do to get to where they need to go. What would you really say to those people out there?
You see, sir, the problem is like you said it, most of us are scared of starting afresh.
Yes.
I call it pressing the reset button.
Yes.
And one of the things that have helped me in my life is this: if I keep on doing the same thing, can I get a different result?
Right.
So, and You see, I have been able to govern my life with the word of God.
Right.
And I pray that the same thing will happen for you today as we watch this broadcast. Because one thing that Paul said is this: I forget about the past,
Yeah.
and I press forward towards the new mark.
Yes.
Now, one of them is because of the fear of starting afresh.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I'm going to start afresh from this place. So what happened? Everything that I have built. But the question is this: if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? I've asked myself that question several times. And one of the things I believe that the way God have answered me is that you rebuild. The foundation is faulty. It's faulty. There's nothing you can do. You have to start with a fresh foundation. But guess what? Let me say this to you, audience. I don't know how my CEO will feel about that, but let me tell you one secret. TPC, you can rebuild afresh. You can rebuild faster, better commission, better leadership, better training. And guess what? Everything you need for your success is in the house. And I'm telling you, you will never regret it. Listen, look at me. I'm saying you will never regret it. Press it. That reset button.
Wow, that was powerful.
Yes, sir.
When you talked about if the foundation is faulty, you have nothing. You really have nothing. When you said that, it really, really, because what are you waiting on, right? Because a definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yes, sir.
Right? Sometimes you are better off starting afresh and creating a culture, right? The right culture, the right environment. It's like planting a seed, right? Sometimes when you plant a seed on a land that is not fertile, on a land that can't grow, it won't grow.
It won't.
Right? But then the same seed, you could go plant it on the right land and environment, the right culture, and then it will blossom.
That's true,
and
sir.
everything will get to where that's really what it is. Sometimes in life, you gotta be able to, from a leadership standpoint, from a supernatural standpoint, to be able to discern, to know, you know what? Maybe this route, maybe this way I'm going might not be the way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it, right? The great, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Paul Bolu. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you so much.
That was
sir.
very powerful.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, we are back. When it comes to Gains Entertainment, I'm your host, Paul and Njoku, and I'm here with our guest today. Her name is Dr. Theresa. Again, this lady is a powerful lady. She comes from a medical field. Anybody that, go to school and get up to doctorate degree, that's a big deal, right? So I have a lot of respect for her. We are business partners. She's also in the financial industry, just like I am. She has a lot of wealth of knowledge. So today we're going to be able to hear from her. Obviously, April is a financial literacy month. So we are bringing in a lot of business partners and a lot of leaders here at TPC to be able to get their thoughts on what financial literacy month means to them, on the financial principles that they can give to everyday Americans out there, so that way they can be able to get ahead, and so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Chika. Again, if you don't mind, maybe take a minute or so just to tell the audience a little bit about you. I know I've kind of, started that a little bit. And then also tell us, April is a big month in the financial industry because it's a financial literacy month. Even though what the stock market is doing right now with the tariff and everything is not looking right, a lot of people are panicking right now, with everything going on in the stock market. But the financial literacy month, what does that mean to you?
I know this kind of started around 2004 when the Congress turned this into a bill for financial literacy. And if you look back about when it first started, that was actually in 2023, and initially was meant for literacy for youth. And then finally it turned into a bill for Congress. It was passed in Congress in 2004. Financial literacy is more like, the reason behind it is to let people know that they can spend wisely and also to save and plan for the future, which is what a lot of us don't do. When we're that young, all we do is we make the money, we spend it right away. We don't think about tomorrow. We don't think about retirement. So financial literacy, April, is a big deal. A lot of people don't know about it. And at work, I have it written on the board, and April is Financial Literacy Month.
Right.
And I use that opportunity as well to talk to people regarding, the financial industry as well.
Wow, I just learned something. I told you this lady's wealth of knowledge. I didn't even know when financial literacy month was adopted but I know it's a thing, right? Because I'm in the financial industry. She gave us the stats, the year it started, who started it, the Congress, and so on and so forth. Remember what I told you, this lady is powerful. So thank you for imparting us with that knowledge. So now, obviously, the word financial literacy, to some people, that word is such an ambiguous, right? Because it's like, oh my God, financial literacy. Okay, well, I'm educated, right? What do you mean financial literacy? I have my degrees and all of that. Obviously, there is formal education, there is an informal education. Oftentimes, financial literacy is not something you learn at school, right? So for you, when it comes to things, right, actionable things, plans, or things that people can do in terms of making sure that they don't make the mistake that many people make, right? What are 3 or 4 or 5 things you think people out there could do to really get ahead when it comes to financial literacy month?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I do have an MBA.
Right.
Does that make me financially literate? I won't say yes to that, because even though you have that degree, there's a lot of stuff they don't teach you in school.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff they don't teach you in school. You just have to learn
Right.
when you get in the field. A lot of things people can do when it comes to being, financial literate. They need to make sure that, number one, their family. They need to talk to their family. They need to talk to their children.
Right.
Start them from when they're young and start teaching them about money.
Right.
Because at that age is the age that you actually infuse a lot of knowledge to them.
Right.
Before they get to a certain age. I would say budgeting, making sure that if you have a credit card, please make sure if you're going to swipe it in order to build that credit, just make sure you pay it off like right away, because you're compounding those interests in the first place. So you're paying a lot to these companies.
Right.
So they're making money off you. I would say diversify your portfolio. And the reason I'm saying this is, I know a lot of people don't know, banks has life insurance. They're in the business of money, but yet they have life insurance. So they're making that money and they're giving you pennies. So if you can find a way to diversify your funds, wherever you can put them,
Right.
that is also another thing that I would tell people to do. If you are looking into, I won't say if you want to drive big cars and stuff like that, do it. But look at your pocket in the first place. Don't over budget. Okay. One of the things that we do, because we're not financially literate, is we decide that we want to live this big life, but we don't have the financial ability to do that.
Right.
And instead of us controlling the money that we have, we find out that our job and our money actually start controlling us.
Wow.
So we need to start having that mindset of looking into living within your means and also be able to save for the future. So that is kind of like my advice when it comes to talking to people by being financially literate.
She dropped a lot of nuggets there, right? Budgeting. If you got kids, start early, right? Start teaching them about savings and investment and all that. She also talked about banks. Do you know the biggest investor of life insurance in America? Banks. I know sometimes in the middle class, when we talk about life insurance, people what? They start running to the fences. But the question you gotta ask yourself, why would Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, all these giant banks in the world, not just in America, why do they invest in life insurance? Think about it. The banks will not die, right? The banks will not get sick. So typically when we think of life insurance, guess what comes to mind? We think about dying. And because we think about dying, nobody plans for their deaths. Nobody plans to oh my God, what happens when I get sick? Right? So, but the banks, they are not doing it for those things. They are doing it for what? As an investment. They are using a life insurance to build wealth. So guess what? People in the middle class, you could do the same thing, right? You don't have to be a bank to do that, right? I remember what I told you. This lady is fire, right? So she's dropping a lot of nuggets right now, right? So that's really powerful. And then, Doc, there's been a lot of questions, even though I kind of talked about it, when it comes to life insurance. Oftentimes, the word life insurance is misunderstood concept or topic. I know for me, before I came into financial services, when I thought of life insurance, I always have the understanding it's something that I already have through my job, that I didn't need it, right? And then as we came into the industry, and then you start hearing about life insurance, the banks, living benefits, you could use it for kids to go to school. Can you really shed some light on that? Why do you think that there's a lot of myths in the society, especially in the minority community, about life insurance? And how April, being a financial literacy month, how we can use more education to really make sure people understand what life insurance is all about?
Well, first of all, people don't know what they don't know, okay? And also, I believe sometimes they don't want people to know certain stuff so that way they can make money off, it's a financial industry.
Right.
If you look at what you have from work, your group insurance and things like that, a lot of us don't know. And that's why I'm saying that going to school to study when it comes to business doesn't mean that you have that, you're financially literate,
Right. Right.
So it's something that you learn on the field or you learn when somebody actually open up and say something to you.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. And we think that we have group insurance from work and we're going to be fine.
Right.
So they don't understand what it is. So that's why people like us who are licensed professionals needs to be out there. We need to start talking to people about it, especially the middle class,
Right.
because they don't know.
Right.
I talk to a lot of people. Now I'm gonna give you like an example. I have somebody and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm good. We're fine. Have life insurance and things like that." It wasn't until when I actually have a sit down and start explaining the different types of life insurance and what it is that she was like, "Oh my God, I did not know that."
Wow.
So we shouldn't wait to educate people. We need to get those word out there so that way people will know,
Right.
and then that way they can have that secure financial future that they need to have. Group insurance, a lot of people don't know that it's just for your work, and when
Right.
you get out, you get out. Sometimes you can convert that. Actually, sometimes some companies don't allow you to convert that. Once you leave your workplace, that's it.
Right.
Okay. When you look at term insurance, it's temporarily.
Right.
It has an end date.
Right.
God forbid something happened to you a day after it lapsed. God forbid something happened to you a day
Wow.
after it lapsed, and that's it. The cash value building, when it comes to, I think it's a family miracle. It's like the Cadillac of all life insurance. That's your IUL. And I
Right.
tell people about that. That is your IUL.
Right.
People don't know about it. They don't know what IUL is. When you ask them, do you have life insurance? They say yes. When you say, is it IUL? The first question is, what is that?
Right.
They don't know.
Right.
So I think a family miracle is something a lot of people need to know about. This is April is the financial literacy month, so we need to get the word out there,
Right.
as much as we can.
Right.
Talk to your neighbors, talk to your coworkers, talk to your family. When it comes to retirement as well, that is actually a very, very good vehicle when it comes to retirement.
Right.
I usually call it a procrastinated tax procrastination when it comes to your individual retirement account or your traditional 401k.
Right.
So why would you want to procrastinate your tax and pay more?
Right. Right.
It's a lot of education that needs to be, go out there.
Right.
It's a lot of things that we need to talk to people about in
Right.
general. That
Wow.
education is needed. Just
Right.
because you have a degree does not mean that, you have that financial literacy. Just FYI.
Wow, folks, you've heard it, right? Financial Literacy Month is all about education and imparting knowledge and having an open mind, right? Because oftentimes there is a mindset of I know it all,
Yep.
right? But then, like my mentor always said, that the ego is not your amigo, right? So you always want to have an open mind because that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why she's here. And that's also the reason why we want to be able to get this information out, right? So Doc, again, thank you for really, helping us with understanding that. And then, obviously, we're going to switch gear a little bit. Now, we're going to talk about TPC, the People's Company Agency. Obviously, TPC is an IMO, insurance marketing organization. We don't sell anything. We help insurance company market their products, right? Oftentimes, people get that twisted. Now, obviously, you have some experience, with other IMOs out there. We're not gonna get into tearing anybody down, right? Because that's not what we do here at TPC. Meaning, we don't rise by tearing people down, right? We rise by focusing on our goals and our vision and where we're going, right? That's our mindset. But if you can, how would you? What has your experience, here at TPC been so far? If you could just share with us and also the audience.
Yeah, actually, honestly, TPC is like my third IMO that have been through. The first time you get licensed, you're like a little bit hype and you're like, what am I supposed to do next?
Right.
And just because you get licensed, again, it's like getting a degree and you don't know the financial industry,
Right.
So that's what getting a license is like.
Right.
So trying to understand what it is all about, because being bookworm doesn't make you street smart.
Right.
So that's the way I can use to actually explain
Right.
going to school and also actually practicing what you're licensed for.
Right.
So being book smart is different from being street smart.
Right.
So going to get your license as a licensed professional is being book smart.
Right.
That doesn't make you street smart.
Right.
And from from experience. So yeah, the first one I was only told about term, and also I'm supposed to be a robot on the phone and call people, to talk to people. I mean, it works for some people, but a lot of people, when you come from a different background and things like that, when it comes to, for me, I used to be like, I have an accent.
Right.
So I'm like, if I pick up that phone and I talk to people, a lot of people like, they hung up, they dropped on me and things like that. So I never actually moved forward
Right.
with using my license the way I'm supposed to.
Right.
And then I tried another IMO. It didn't really work out. And then I remember meeting you for the first time in your office, and I'm like, do I want to do this? And I'm glad I took that move, and I'm glad I actually jumped in like almost right away and signed up.
Right.
TPC is a game changer. It's a little bit, it's different.
Right.
And that actually sets you guys apart from everybody else.
Right.
You want to reach somebody, somebody is there. You need a mentor, somebody is there.
Right.
You want transparency, it's an open book. TPC is an open book.
Right.
Compensation wise, top notch.
Right.
And I say that from experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some companies will tell you, we're going to start you at 70%, 80%, 90%. But when that compensation comes and you look at it, it's not, it's probably 20% or 25%.
Right.
So that's why I said TPC, top notch,
Right.
There's a lot of positivity, like positive experience that I have had that made me stay. And not only stay, I talk to people and I tell them about TPC as well.
Right.
I'm like, this is the right place to come. This
Right.
is the right culture when it comes to this financial industry.
Right.
And 100%, I'm glad that I actually made that decision. And that's why I'm here today.
Well,
So thank you.
I'm glad you're here. We appreciate being in business with you, because here at TPC, we don't do sideline, upline, everything is business partners, because at the end of the day, all of us are striving for greatness. When we set out on a mission to make this thing happen, believe me, it wasn't something that we did out of flesh. We prayed about it before, my wife and I, before we do everything, we are very we prayed about it, we fasted and all of that. And God, we allowed ourselves to be used through God to make this thing happen. So we don't take it lightly. And also, part of the things that we also doing different is the things that we didn't like from where we came from, which was a lot of secrecy, a lot of politics, a lot of that. Here at TPC, no politics, no drama. We wanted everything to be transparent. Is our motto, meaning everything is out there. That way there's no ambiguity, there's no confusion. We say what we mean and we mean what we say. So thank you for really, for all those positive words. We really appreciate it. What as the top 3 things you think they need to know about TPC, and also to have TPC into consideration as they make their decision?
Well, first of all, I will tell them, don't give up. If I have given up after my second one, I probably won't be here, sitting down right here talking to you guys. So I will say, don't give up. There is a solution out there. The solution is TPC. And I'm telling you this with all my heart. Because, again, no company out there has this culture that we have right here. A lot of companies out there are more of me. Some of them are greedy and they just want the money for themselves. They want you to do the work, and that way they take the gain. And I don't think that is fair for a lot of people out there. For a lot of people, this is their full-time, this is their bread and butter. Come down to TPC. TPC is top. For me right now, this is number 1. I don't know what number 2 is. I don't know what number 3 is yet so far, but I think this is number 1. So don't give up. Call somebody or call me. I'll talk to you, and let's have that sit down, and then I can tell you what TPC have to offer. I can show you their system actually, and like I said, 100% transparency. There is no tell you 1 + 1 is 2 or 1 + 1 is 3, and when you go back it's 2. There is nothing like that in TPC, and I'm being 100% real and 100% honest with you guys. This is a company to be right now in the financial industry.
Well, folks, you've heard it. Like our popular saying goes, TPC to the world. On that note, again, Doc, I really appreciate you coming on this afternoon. We really have learned a lot from you. And I'm sure our audience, when this video uploads, they're also going to appreciate all your insights, about Financial Literacy Month, about TPC, and also about the fundamentals and the principle that they need to apply in their life. On that note, we're going to leave it here. Thank you for coming.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you so
Anytime.
much. All right.